Hi everyone, and welcome to online video number 2. This time I'm going to be doing a slightly longer flow this time, and I'm going to be doing it in a ladder flow style. So for those of you who've been to my classes before, I know this has always gone down quite well with you guys, and this is a flow that I have done in classes before, so hopefully some of you will be familiar with it. For those of you who haven't got a Scooby-Doo what I'm talking about, a ladder flow is when we take a few poses, put them together, we'll complete those poses, and then we'll go back to the beginning and then complete them again. And then we'll add on another set of poses, complete those, and then we'll go back to the beginning of set 1, doing set 1, set 2, and then we'll add on a third set. Once we've done that, back to the beginning. We probably won't get much more than about 3 sets into it with this flow. However, without further ado, let's get ourselves ready to start our class. Be happy to know that we're going to start this one laying down. So if you want to bring the soles of your feet together, coming onto your back. So you want to bring the heels in as close to the bum as you can, and really just let gravity do its work with your knees. Just let it hang heavy out. Maybe take the hands onto your belly or hands by your side. And let's take a few moments together. Connecting with our breath, slowing everything down. Allow yourself to really just surrender into the mats. And let's start that connection again with the breath. So deep in through back of the nose, back of the throat. And exhaling, keeping our mouth closed. Continuing. Few more moments here. Just finding a little bit of space in the mind, letting go of any baggage or anything heavy you may be holding on to at this time. Just popping it to the side. Can all be dealt with later. We're going to take our knees in now, give them a little squeeze into the chest, so holding onto the shins, maybe roll on the spine if that feels nice. Keeping hold of the breath. I want to keep hold of the right shin and extend out through the left leg, so you can rest the leg onto the ground, pressing the knee up and towards you and pushing that left foot away. Bringing both knees in to meet, let's swap over side, extending out through the right leg and squeezing in with the left. Another breath here. Bringing them both in to meet again, and we're going to rest the feet onto the ground. So we're going to do some windscreen wipers either side, so taking the knees over to the right and then over to the left. So try and avoid the knees falling on top of each other. So make sure the feet are around a mat distance apart, maybe a little bit less. Just taking ourselves over from one side into the other. One more time each side. Through to centre, grabbing hold of the knees, but allowing yourself just to roll up from here. So we're going to do a little bit of wrist warm up now. So taking the hands out in front of you, Giving our wrists a little whirl one way and then a little whirl the other way. So keep changing sizes, a few times one way, a few times the other. Pressing the hands out in front of you, so press with the heel of the hands. Curl the fingers back towards you and then swapping over sides. So fingertips pressing towards you, pressing through the tops of your hands. Bring it back to centre, so make some big star shapes with our hands. Perfect, and then let's move on to our hands and our knees. Let's do a few rounds of cat-cow here, so lining yourself up nice and solidly in a tabletop position, fingers spread wide, and let's inhale, head up, tailbone up, really press the heart through the chest. And exhale, curling round to really concave the belly, sucking the belly button in, doming through the top of your shoulder blades. Inhale, lifting back up. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Last time in to our cow. And then exhale into our cat. So tucking the toes here, let's find our way into our first downward facing dog. So as I always say, just start to make a little bit of movement through this first one. It's always nice to warm ourselves up. So maybe coming onto the toes and coming back down, maybe pressing the knee in, stretching out through the sides and on each side. Walking our feet to the front of the mat, drawing a little ragdoll here, so holding onto the opposite elbows, neck nice and loose, a little sway from side to side. If you find that you are quite far up, if you want to bend the knees a little bit, then do, if that feels better for you. And let's gently work our way up through the fingertips, hands down. Our side. So we're going to make a start on flow number 1. So come in at the front of the mat, standing in mountain pose, ribs in, hips in, pressing down through the fingertips. Let's take a breath together. Inhale and then exhale. So we're going to inhale, come onto our toes and lift up through the hands. And with the exhale, we're going to bring the heels down and work into like a ski position. So our chest goes over the thighs, we press up through the little fingers. And inhale, we're going to do 2 more, coming back onto the toes. Find the balance and reach up with the fingertips. And exhale, coming back down. Last time, lifting up. Exhale. Back down. Inhale, lifting back up onto our toes. This time, just finding our rest and balance, taking our hands to prayer at the heart. And we're going to come down to a low squat now, but only come down as far as your knees are going to let you. So gently come down. You can stop here if you want to. Do not feel pressure to come all the way down. If we do make it, we'll be down here with the bum touching towards the heels. Woo. Pressing the palms of the hands together, shoulders away from the ears. Just keep the balance here for a second. And we're going to bring ourselves onto the floor now and straight into boat. Remember, use your hands if you need to. Onto the bum, taking the hands on the back of the knees, lift the chest, shoulders back. Let's find our boat position. So you can release the hands if you want to. We are going to take it to low boat in a second though, so please do pace yourself with this. Let's take another breath. Hands come out, let's low boat. So extend out through the legs. We're going to try and lower ourselves only as much as we can control though. As always, embrace that wobble. Everyone wobbles here. Another breath. Lifting yourself back up into your boat pose. And then we're going to bring ourselves into downward dog. So cross the legs over if you need, or come onto the knees. Stepping back. And let's find our dog. Whether you want to move here, whether you want to be static, getting yourself settled. So remember, not everyone's heels will touch the ground. Just bend your knees if you need. So we're going to roll ourselves forward now into a plank position. We're going to come into side planks. So bringing the right hand into the centre, lifting up through the left. So your plank may look like this. If it's too much, then we can just drop the lower knee. But make sure that we keep lifting up through the lower side of the body. Another breath here. This is too much on the wrist, then you can always come onto your forearms and do it this way instead. And back down. Bringing ourselves back into plank. You're going to do it on the other side. So left hand through the centre. Twisting up and open. Finding our side plank here. Drop the lower knee if that's going to work better for you. And bringing our hands back down, finding our way into plank. We're going to drop onto the knees and just slide our way back into a child's pose for a moment or two. So just dropping your head, finding the breath again. Another breath here. Downward dog. Sticking the toes. We're going to find ourselves now into warrior one. So take the left foot out 45 degrees and bring the right foot forward to the front of the mat. Lifting up through the hands, sinking down into the hips. So the gaze is forward, the hips are forward. Press up through the fingertips. Warrior two, straighten, hips to the side, arms come out, lunge again with that front leg, pressing out through the fingertips, take the gaze down the front, again connecting back to the breath, ribs in, hips in, holding strong through the core. Reverse warrior, keep the front leg bent, back on down, back leg and stretch through the side of the body. If you can, take the gaze to follow that hand. Windmilling ourselves all the way back up, everything straightens now and into triangle pose. So move forward, hand comes down wherever it rests, hips open, chest open, lifting up through that left hand. So again, we're bringing the energy, lifting it up through the arms, not letting the weight all sink down into that front leg. Another breath here. Inhale. Exhale, gaze down to the ground. Stepping back into downward facing dog, taking some movement here. Getting ready for the next side. So right foot out 45, left one forward, lifting up nice and high. Warrior one. Hips forward, gaze forward. Just taking the chin slightly upward here. Connecting back, slowing the breath back down in. Warrior two. Inhale, straighten, hips to the side, arms out, sinking down. Note where your shoulders are they up there? Make sure they're nice and loose away from the ears. Reverse warrior, back on down, back leg stretching through the side. Windmilling up, straightening everything, ready for our triangle pose. Inhale. Exhale, forward we go. Finding that triangle pose. Taking the gaze up if it's okay on the neck. If not, just keep it directly forward. Taking the gaze down, framing the front foot, stepping ourselves back into downward facing dog. Taking a breath here. Exhale. Stepping or walking forward to the front of the mat. Inhale, just lift up halfway, taking the hands to the shin, head up, tailbone up, stretch to the back of the legs. Forward fold now, bend the knees if you can't touch the floor. Taking the ribs over the thighs, head comes in. And inhale, all the way up. And exhale. Finish at the front of the mat. So that's round one. We're going to move through that again, and at the end we're going to add on some second round of poses. So standing strong in mountain, ready for our little ski jumpers. Inhale onto the toes, lifting up Exhale, coming down, bringing the hands behind, up with the little fingers. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Hands to prayer. Just settle ourselves again, settling the breath. We're going to lower ourselves back down into that squat just as much as your knees are going to let you, okay? Don't force it. Be gentle. Find that lift with the body. Try not to bring the chest forward, pressing the palms together. Just another breath here. And lowering ourselves into boat now. Use the hands if you need, onto the bum. Taking the hands under the back side of the knees. Lift up, chest back. Remove your hands if you want to. We'll be moving back into low boat though, remember. Bringing the hands out, extending, nice and low. Controlling through that low boat. Brace that wobble. Lifting ourselves all the way up and finding downward dog. Stepping ourselves back. Bend the knees if you need it. Rolling forward into our plank. We need to adjust the feet. Side plank. Right hand into the centre. Lifting up. For those of you who want, you can bring that top leg into like a tree position in your half plank. Remember, lowering that knee is still always an option. Dropping the hands back down. Swapping over sides. Left one in the centre. Opening up, side plank, drop the bottom knee. Or taking that foot on the inside of the thigh. Another breath. Hands come down. Dropping our knees, parting them slightly and falling back into that child's pose, connecting back with our breath. Finding our downward facing dog again. Moving into our warrior one. Left foot at 45, right one forward. Lifting up nice and high into our warrior one. Back leg straight, pressing the energy down through that back foot. Warrior two. Inhale, hips to the side, arms out, lunge again. Try and make sure that that knee stays over the ankle. You don't want it moving in or moving out too much. Pressing again through the fingertips. Reverse warrior. Lifting up, ready for triangle. Inhale. Exhale, forward. Hands come down. Remember, your triangle may look more like this. You want to feel that good stretch through the side. Inhale. Exhale, gaze down. Bringing ourselves back into downward facing dog. Taking a full breath here, slowing it back down again. Other side. Right foot out 45, left one forward, lifting high into that warrior one, hips facing forward. Strong hinge in that front leg, strong energy, taking through the length of the back leg. Inhale, straighten, hips, arms, lunge again. Warrior two. And reverse. All the way up. Ready for triangle, moving forward, taking the hand down, open the hips. Gaze down. Working our way all the way back up, taking another breath. Inhale. Exhale. Second round, we're going to windmill ourselves down. Step back into our downward facing dog. So lifting up nice and high with the right leg. And we're going to bring it forward to the front of the mat. Take as many steps as you need. And hook the back toes. Rising up into our crescent nice and gently. Let's find our balance to start off with. And then working our way into cactus arms. So bending the elbows. Get your jazz hands out. Pressing the elbows back behind the chest. So we're going to inhale, straighten, turn towards the left of the mat, take our hands onto the hips. So you might want to take your legs out a little bit further here, turning the toes just to point towards each other. So inhale, take the lift from the hips all the way to the head, extend, halfway down. And then we take the right hand into the centre of the mat, lifting up through the left hand. So some of you may just want to sort of stack your arms on top of each other. If there's space, we can bring the left hand behind our back and maybe grab hold of the inside of the thigh or maybe even your t-shirt. What we're trying to do is open that shoulder and chest a little bit more here. Another breath. And let's swap over sides, taking the gaze down, the left one up into the centre, lifting up through the right this time. So either stacking arms on top of each other or bringing that other one behind, opening the chest, your choice. The gaze can either be forward or lifting up towards that hand. Gaze down, resting the hands. We're going to work our way forward into a low lunge. So that front foot points to the front of the mat. We drop the back knee. We're going to lift up through the arms and forward we go with the weight. Careful of where the knee is over the ankle. You want it stacking above, not going over. Try and find a bit of a lift from the hips all the way up through the body, through the fingertip. The chin slightly upwards. So we're going to inhale, bring the hands back and straighten the front leg. Come onto the heel, curl those toes back. And we're going to press forward with the exhale, reaching forward. So depending on how your hamstrings are, some of you may need to do this to feel the stretch. Some of you may be able to touch the ground. But really pull your heart forward if you can reach there. Feel that stretch through the back of the legs. Another breath. I'm going to do that again. So forward with a lunge. Lift. Forward with the weight. Stretch should be felt here mainly. Inhale, straighten onto the heel. Whoop. We're going to come forward with the fingertips. Or fingertips to the ground. Pulling forward with the chest. Feeling that stretch again. Bringing our weight forward, framing the front foot, stepping back into that downward facing dog. Move here if you want to or stay static. Find the breath again in and exhale. Lifting up now through the left leg. Stepping forward, many steps as it takes, hooking the back toes. Lifting up, find your balance first. So you really want to sort of take the weight down to the hips if you can, hooking the back toes. Strong straight leg, good hinge in the front leg. Cactus arms, jazz hands. So inhale, straighten, everything. Turn towards the right of the mat now, hands to the hips. So taking the legs out as far as they can comfortably go, toes pointing towards each other. We're going to do that same sort of side stretch on this side. So inhale, Exhale halfway down, right hand into the centre of the mat, lift up through the left, taking the gaze up. Remember, you can take the hand behind your back if there's space. If it hurts or if it's uncomfortable, just come back here, this feels nice too. Taking the gaze down, let's swap over sides, the left hand into the centre, lifting up through the right. Gaze down, working our way to the front of the mat, turning that foot from forward, dropping the back knee, low lunge, lift. Forward we go. So continue just to breathe here. If your knee is quite far towards that front leg, you're not lunging too much, it may end up, your knee might end up going over the ankle, which you need to adjust. You probably won't find as much of the stretch that you can. So take that back knee back as far as you comfortably can in this pose. Weight moves forward. Another breath here. So inhale, straighten onto the heel. Exhale, press forward. Either stay here or come onto the fingertips, lifting the chest. Finding that stretch, taking the breath. Forward we go. Same again, lift. Hinge forward. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, forward. Weight forward. We're going to bring that back foot forward to the front of the mat and come into a forward fold here. If you can, keep the legs straight. If not, give them a little bend. And inhale, all the way up, pressing up through the fingertips, hands down, by side. So that was the end of round 2. We are now back to the beginning again. We're going to do number 1, number 2, and then add on our third section from here. So just take a breath together first. Let's in and exhale. So from the top, you should find that your balance is a little bit better now. So inhale onto the toes. Exhale, heels down into our ski. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Last time. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Find the balance again. Hands to prayer, just bringing it to heart. Slowing it down, finding that squat. Think about your knees, remember. Settle here. Another breath, and we're going to find our way back into the boat. This is going to be your last one. So inhale. Exhale, gently come to the floor. Use your hands if you need. Hold back of the legs, release if you want to. But remember to keep your form strong. Don't start collapsing through the body here. Another breath. Enjoy that little wobble again. Taking the hands out, extending and lowering as much as you can control. Don't collapse here. Keeping the shoulders off the ground, the lower legs off the ground. Inhale, lift up back into a nice strong boat and find our way now into downward dog. Taking a breath. Last time doing the side planks, you'll probably be happy to hear. So rolling forward. Find planks to make sure your bum's not too far up, shoulders over wrists. Right hand into the centre, taking that twist, lifting up. All the options still apply. We either drop that bottom knee, we stay here, or we come into that little tree pose instead. Another breath. Gaze is down. Swapping over sides. So left hand into the centre. Opening up. Remember that drop is still available. Another breath. Taking ourselves down and coming back into child's. Opening the knees, gently sliding back. Taking the head onto the mat. You can always fold your arms over and rest your head in your hands rather, if that feels more comfortable. Downward facing dog. So lift, drop toes. Getting ready for our little warrior sequence now. So left foot, turn out 45 degrees. Right one forward, lift up nice and high, warrior one. Warrior two. Inhale, hips, arms, lunge. Make sure that your body doesn't come over here in this. Try and cinch in through this fat waist, lift up, good hinge. Some of you may need to let that back foot back a little bit more here. Reverse. Windmilling up, everything straight and ready for triangle. Inhale. Forward, hands down, opening up. Inhale, exhale, gaze down, stepping back into our downward facing dog, preparing for the other side, taking a nice deep in and exhale. Right foot out 45, left one forward, up we go, warrior one. Remember the hips need to be directed forward for this. Inhale, straighten, warrior two, hips, arms, sink down. Back arm, back leg, reverse. Bringing ourselves all the way back up straight and ready for triangle. Inhale. Forward, hands come down. Remember, it doesn't have to be all the way down here. It could be further on the thigh. Just don't let your bum come out, your chest come forward, stacking all over that front leg. Feeling that stretch across the top side of the body, pressing the energy through that back foot. Gaze is either directly forward or up to that hand. Inhale here. Exhale, gaze down, hands down. Let's find our downward facing dog. So that's round one done for the last time. Round two, taking a breath, lifting up through the right leg, 3-leg dog, stepping forward as many steps as it takes, hooks the back toes, gently coming up into that crescent lunge, so straighten the back leg, lifting up, cactus arms. Inhale, it all straightens. Turn towards the left, hands to the hip. Take the legs a little bit wider if there's space. Inhale. Exhale, halfway down. Release the right hand, twist through the body, lift up through the left. Taking the hands behind you and hooking the thigh if there's space. Don't worry if not. Inhale. Exhale, gaze down, swap round. And lifting ourselves up, swapping sides. Remember, the option's still there to take the hand behind. Gaze down, use your hands to guide you to the front of the mat into the low lunge. So that front foot is pointing forward. Drop the back knee, adjust it as you need. Lift and then forward we go. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, forward. Hands to the ground if there's space. If not, don't worry. Inhale, lift, sink. Inhale. Exhale, pressing forward again. Taking the hands down, stepping ourselves back, downward facing dog. Ready for the other side. Lifting up nice and high with the left leg. Stepping forward, as many as it takes, remember. Hooking the back toes, lift. Sink with the hips, hook the back foot. Cactus. I'm going to press the elbows behind the chest here. Inhale, everything straightens, turn towards the right. Legs come up a little bit further apart if you can, hands to the hip. Let's inhale, halfway down, right hand down. Take a twist, lift it through the left. Gaze down, swap over sides. Lifting up. Gaze down, hands come down, and let's work our way forward, dropping the back knee. Lifting up into that low lunge. Weight comes forward. Try not to let the shoulders all come around the ears here. Try and find that sort of little scoop, a little bit of space. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, forward we go. Forward lift, back into that low lunge. Inhale, exhale. Hands come down, stepping ourselves back, coming in to our downward facing dog. So we're going to move on to the third round now. We're going to start slowing it down. We'll just end up doing one round of this. So we're coming into pigeon pose. We're going to bring the right knee up towards the right wrist. And the back leg comes back as far as you can, like you're doing the splits. So beginners to this pose, you want to keep the heel quite close to the groin, the hips. For those of you who got a little bit more openness through the hips, then take your shin a little bit further forward. But don't let your bum drop to one side. We want to try and keep the hips level here. Come onto your fingertips, see how you feel. This stretch should be through the right thigh. Come back with the back leg a little bit more if you can. See how you feel. If it's okay, we're going to take a little bit of weight into the pose. Drop into the forearms. Or we can take our hands out in front of us into like a child's pose here. So flex through the foot here. Okay, just try not to let it be all floppy. Again, make sure, note if you're finding that your bum's rolling to one side or the other. Trying to keep yourself stable. Settling a few more moments here. So either on your fingertips, or on your forearms, or into that child's type pose. Gently lifting ourselves all the way up. We're going to squeeze the back heel in now onto our fingertips. So if it feels good, we can take the head back. If not, just squeezing the heel in. And releasing down. So just using your hands, you're going to guide yourself onto your bellies now, into Sphinx pose. So forearm either side of the mat, taking the head down. Inhale, pressing the thighs and the forearms into the ground. Lift up with the head, shoulders come back. Remember, pinch your back, just take your elbows a little bit further forward. Don't let your shoulders start curling around. You want to open and lift. And lowering ourselves down. So we're going to bring our arms the length of our bodies now, palms facing up, coming into locust pose. So inhale, pressing the hips into the ground, we lift our body, lift our legs, pressing back with the fingertips. Don't hold the breath here. Keep flowing in. And exhale. And again. And lowering ourselves down. Taking ourselves into child's pose. So open the knees, falling back. Taking the head down to the mat. We're going to lift ourselves up. Just tuck the toes slightly. We're going to stay at the back of the mat. Now walking our hands in into a bit of a forward fold here. So if you can, grab the big toes with your first two fingers, palms facing towards each other. We're going to lift, put the head up, lift up through the tailbone, extend through the back of the legs, and use a bit of this elbow power to draw yourself in. So if you can't just throw up, bend your knees and just bend your knees, but bring the ribs over your thighs, taking the head in, gazing through the legs. Inhale, taking the gaze up. We're going to walk our hands forward, back into downward facing dog, and we're going to move through that on the other side. So lifting up through the left leg and bringing that forward into our pigeon pose. So knee towards the wrist, back leg back, back leg back, back leg back. Start on your fingertips, just assess how you feel. Taking it lower from here if you want. Remember to flex that left foot. Inhale, lifting up. We're going to come on to our fingertips, lift up through the chest, and then squeeze that back heel in, lifting up. Dropping down. Let's find our way onto our bellies. We're going to move back into our Sphinx pose, so forearms either side, head comes down. Inhale, pressing into the ground, lifting the head. We're going to lift our legs alternatively now. So lifting up through the right, really press into the ground with your left thigh, keeping the gaze up. Note where the shoulders are, don't let them round forward. Lowering down, swapping sides. And lowering down, dropping the head, arms the length of the body, palms facing up. Our last locust pose together. Pressing the hips into the ground, let's lift up, rise up. Don't hold the breath in. Lowering down, coming into child's, opening the knees, dropping back. Lifting up, tucking the toes and coming back to the back of the mat. But this time we're going to work our way into a little rag doll. So grab hold of those elbows again. Give ourselves a nice little sway from side to side. So if you can, do keep the legs long. You can bend them if you want, but it's quite nice long. Lift up through the tailbone. Really just let everything hang heavy. Don't let the head lift up. We want that to be loose as well. Little sway. Releasing, hands to the ground, walking back into our downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Bring yourself to seated. Come to the knees or cross the legs underneath you. Extending out through the legs. You really need to bring yourself forward a little bit. So come down onto your backs. I'm going to take one knee in and then the other, giving ourselves a little squeeze. You just continue to slow everything down now. It's a bit of a sweaty flow, so let's just find our balance again, find our breath. We're going to come into happy baby for our final pose. So taking the feet up to the sky, we want to hold on to the edge of the feet, bend the knees, drawing them in towards the ground. So make sure that the tailbone doesn't lift up. You want to keep that flat on the ground and your head flat on the ground. The knees are pressing in, so you should feel that nice stretch around your hips, your thighs. If you can't quite grab hold of the feet, so you can just take your hands maybe on the underside of your knee and squeeze them in here instead. So lower part of the back flat to the ground, head flat to the ground, keeping the gaze up. Another breath. And release, squeezing the knees in. Maybe take them a little bit wider apart this time. I'm going to extend long out through the legs, long out through the arms. Long stretch from fingertips to toe tips. Now allow yourself just to find a really comfortable Shavasana. So it might be that we lay in a nice little star shape here for these final few moments. Just get yourself adjusted. You may want to cross your legs, hands to belly, take your legs out long. It's completely up to you. But find yourself in a position where you can lay for the next couple of minutes. Grabbing yourself a pillow if you want. You can always just pop me on pause, remember, whilst you get yourself sorted. So this is a time we let go of our Ujjayi breath or any sort of yogic breathing techniques that we're using through the practice. We want to just return back to our natural rhythm now. We're going to take one nice deep cleansing breath together. So really big inhale, fill up the lungs as much as you can. And then out with noise through the mouth, really release. Settle your shoulders into the mat, resting, releasing. Allowing any thoughts just to continue to pass through the mat. We don't need to grab hold of any of them. Floating in, floating out. All background noise. Have a little scan through the body. Are we still holding on to any tension anywhere? So your shoulders, are they still lifted? It's quite easy to miss the shoulders. Really let them fall into the mat. Our jaw. Take the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Gently relax. part the lips here, with a little smile on your face. You can either decide just to stay here for a nice long shavasana, or just follow me through, just ending the practice. Taking a little bit of movement now through our fingers, through our toes. Arms extending overhead. Nice long stretch. Gently bringing the knees in. And then finding yourself to seated when you're ready. Let the hands rest over the knees, lift the heart, drop the shoulders, let's close the eyes. Take a deep inhale out through the mouth. Continue just to surrender the shoulders, surrender the mind, the body. Let's inhale again. And exhale. Bringing our hands to prayer at the heart. Today, taking our focus on being grateful for everything that we are and everything that we already have. Take another inhale. And exhale. And Namaste.